Road racing is a team sport to try and make things happen for the team.
It gave us a huge focus in the road race.
It's a lot easier to make somebody lose a race than it is to help them win it. And honestly, I'm the person I am really now through cycling. And 20 years later, I'm sitting here in front of you guys trying to impart some kind of relative wisdom.
Once every year, the cream of British youth gather together for the Inter-Regional Road Race Championships. For 2011, Scotland was chosen to hold this prestigious event, and race organiser Mark McKay chose the scenic countryside of Perthshire as the location for a 3-stage team format road race. The 12 teams in attendance were made up of 8 of the best under-16 girls and boys from within each region. They are the next generation of Cavendishes, Swifts, Poolies and Armitsteads, looking to develop their skills and fitness while competing against their peers. This particular event, with its team format, ensured that each region's finest young bike riders would leave personal ambition for other times, sacrificing themselves for each other to secure the team's overall position. The first event was an 8-kilometre team time trial on the banks of Loch Tummel near Pitlochry. The challenging course, with its narrow roads, steep climbs and technical corners, made finding a rhythm difficult and keeping your team in one piece extremely hard. With time being taken on the third rider over the line, each team had to figure out how best to ride the course, bearing in mind the strengths and weaknesses of their members. No matter whether your strongest rider did longer turns or you had decided to shed someone on the hill, communication was the most important factor in attaining a fast time. Well-drilled teams, a product of good coaching in their regions, raced along the course in double quick time, taking even turns on the front and making sure pacing on the tough gradients kept them together. It was a clean sweep for Team Yorkshire, Mark Barry's honed machine showing everyone else how to ride a team time trial in both the girls' and boys' races. But could they hold their lead after day 2? The race cavalcade moved east from Cluny to Cooperangus for stage 2, around a rolling 7-kilometre loop with great views of the Cairngorms as a backdrop. First up were the girls, who began and finished their race in glorious sunshine. 6 laps were on the menu for the teams, and with the result based on the positions of the 3 best placed riders on each team, there was a lot of thought going into the tactics for the race. Small breaks tried in vain to forge a decent gap ahead of the bunch, but unless a rider from each of the strong teams was present, nothing was allowed more than about 20 seconds up the road.
Come on, Mel, let's get up and get after it. Yeah, good, keep going. Go!
Into the last lap, and it was clear that a big bunch sprint was on the cards. The question was, which team could place their first 3 riders highest in the finishing order? A very rapid Emily Kay taking the win, and it was the West Midlands who had placed their riders best. Conditions for the boys' race were of biblical proportions. Old men with long beards were spotted making wooden boats. As the boys huddled together for warmth at the start, little did they know of the impending monsoon, which would wash away their hopes of taking the lead off of the Yorkshire Massive. Don't get me wrong, the rain was light to begin with, and an aggressive bunch had ideas to attack the erstwhile leaders. Two teams sent a rider up the road early, keen to hurt the legs of those with ambition, although the bunch probably felt that this was too far out to survive. But with less than half of the distance covered, Mother Nature blew into town, dampening spirits as she made her way to Dundee. The horrendous conditions were partly to blame for a big pile-up in the middle of the bunch, which resulted in massive gaps appearing between small groups of chasing riders. The monsoon lashed down continuously, causing the race to be neutralised. Unfortunately, the commissars had spotted the old men with beards loading the animals 2 by 2 and had decided the course was too waterlogged for a safe race to continue. Abandon, as they say. So, as day 2 drew to a close, Yorkshire kept their grip on the lead. The overnight forecast didn't cheer anyone up. It looked like more of the same as we headed to the small town of St David's. The closest teams to the leaders were Wales, the West Midlands and East Midlands, and hopefully they had big ideas to burst the bubble of the slick Yorkshire outfit.
And go. Good luck. Well, that's on.
Racing along the narrow lanes on the 7-kilometre circuit was fast and furious, and there were plenty of riders masquerading as bollards as the speed took its toll. A similar pattern from yesterday's race emerged, and with the course being less hilly, the pace stayed high.
I'll edit this later.
Up at the feed zone, the coaches, helpers and parents made sure that any dehydrated juvenile could quench their thirst before making the final push for glory. Jostling for position began on the swift run-in to the finish line.
Jesus.
And yet again, outclassing the field with her formidable sprinting prowess was West Midlands' Emily Kay. For the final event, the Yorkshire boys knew what they had to do to win, but could they hold their nerve? With Wales and the West Midlands only a few points adrift, everything hinged on this boys' road race. And since the abandonment of yesterday's stage, the organisers had added an extra lap, just to make things more interesting. Sitting at the back meant doing a full day's work, expending energy yo-yoing off the back. It was an unnecessary torture some riders were happy to endure. A few attempts to establish a breakaway were nullified, until eventually a quartet were able to get out of sight and out of mind. They forged a 40-second lead at one point, while behind them some head scratching was evident. The epic weather from the day before didn't quite materialise, but on parts of the course localised showers made some corners very tricky indeed. The quartet was soon down to 3. North East, West Midlands and Eastern riders were giving it everything, hoping their teammates behind were placing themselves at the head of affairs, ready for the sprint for minor placings. A large crowd made up of local residents and partisan supporters from the regions were kept informed by MC Tim Buckle, who had information flowing from a service car. The bell lap, and the gap had been cut dramatically. Just one more leg-sapping loop of the Kermesse-style course was left between them and greatness. The bunch was in hot pursuit, and the West Midlands had decided to put the Yorkshire boys to the sword. With a man up the road and daylight appearing in the lined-out bunch, it was on! Heaving into view for the run to the finish, the trio of escapees had enough of a gap to ensure victory. With so much of their effort left on the road behind them, they had nothing left for the sprint, and it was the least exhausted rider, Christian Wolf of Eastern, who took the win. Behind them, the all-important team positions meant hotly contested gallops for the line. Once the finish line footage had been reviewed, the medal presentations could begin, and despite the best efforts of all the other regions, Yorkshire were able to hang on to take the inter-regional crown for 2011.
Try to fill the pipes.
Oh, okay.